Right now.
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 Because it's time to write now.
Right 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 now.
Because it's time to write now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right.
And we are live. Are you struggling with trying to be consistent with your writing? Do you need that motivation? Because it's been such a crazy year, such a crazy holiday season, then you've come to the right place. Join me as I take you through my process from doing a third draft of the dark fantasy novel, The Last Scarecrow. My third draft is a mix of a read aloud and a minor line edit. So we're going to hop straight into it and see just what we can accomplish. So let's do it. Let's hop in. I've been working on a really exciting chapter and I'm glad I could get into it. I don't know. I've been like waiting for this all day. And I was like, okay, I don't know how much energy I have for it, but you know what? We're going to try to push. So when I'm feeling a little I'm feeling unmotivated from like an energy perspective, but I'm feeling super motivated from a creative perspective. Weird mix to be in. So, but we're going to push and I'm going to get through this chapter. Hopefully. It's the last thing I do. Hey, what's up, Francisca? Hope the writing vibe is treating you well. Hope it's treating you well, my friend. And okay, so where are we at? We are at Cult of the Moonflower. All right. I just had to push the chapter. I keep getting to the middle of the chapter, and then I'm like, all right, well, I have to put myself into the vibe if I want to actually make progress. Nice. Sounds like great minds think alike, my dude. Absolutely. Very, very awesome. I was like, time to get some writing in. Okay. Where was that's right. I have to pull up my notes. All right. Scarecrow notes. We shall get to that. All right. And I want to say that I got about 70% of the way through the chapter. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm at about 70%. All right. Yeah, I know I made it a good bit. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so like if I can do it, 10, 11, 12, 13. So right now, 17, 16, 15. This the feedback goes to page about 13 pages, and I am on 7. So, okay. Yep, we can do it. All right. Okay. So let's see what we can see. Oh yeah, I guess I should throw the banner up. Okay. All right. I believe I can fly. All right. Feel free to join along if there's something that stands out, drop a comment, or just come hang out if you're doing your own writing vibe. Oh, do you number each chapter? Yes, I do. So each chapter, I have 55 chapters in Scarecrow plus an epilogue. Good question. So Francisco, so you can see my like table of contents. So the chapter is divided into 4 acts. I name each act a book. So technically book 1 is chapters 1 through 10. Book 2 is chapters 11 through 28. Book 3 is chapters 29 through 41. And then book 4 is chapters 42 through 55. And then death to them all, the epilogue. So, yep, 56 chapters technically with the epilogue. Great question. All right. So let's see what we can see. I've now gone through the first half of this chapter, and I think it's in a good place. So let's see how it sounds. Let's see how it sounds. Let's see if it's engaging and if everything makes sense. Of course, yeah. So let's see. No, so all these books are like different acts of the same novel. I've gone back and forth on a number of times. Instead of calling them Act 1 Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. I'm calling them books, and it's done very, very intentionally for a reason that's actually explained a little later in the series. But then the only downside is like, okay, well, does it confuse the reader by doing it like that? So, hey, welcome, Nam. Okay, Drafty, let's see how this sounds. So, our heroes, Scarecrow, their new companion, Pebble the Pixie, and the eccentric Mr. Crow are traveling to the gardens as Scarecrow is just trying to find some more straw and stuffing for himself since he is literally falling apart. Let's do it. Chapter 14, Cult of the Moonflower. Scarecrow marveled at the golden twilight, which hung over the surrounding grasslands. The sun remained steadfast above the horizon, while the moon, hanging back, remained hidden by cloud cover. A gentle breeze swept through the air, carrying a subtle melody, like a whisper long forgotten. The fields of crops and vegetables grew numerous on either side. The meticulous dirt trails held no weeds or stray rocks, and the dirt-drawn arrows stayed as compass. Stayed the compass. Scarecrow stopped near a group of flowers, sprouting between stalks of vegetables. At the sound of his rumbling stomach, he couldn't resist reaching out for a carrot. Bringing it to his mouth, he prepared to bite down. Wouldn't do that if I were you, Strawbrain, Pebble cautioned. She now sat on his left shoulder, arms crossed, beside a rock, opposite Mr. Crow, who had fallen into a deep slumber. But it looks so fresh, Scarecrow whined, his stomach growling. Not the issue, Pebble shrugged. Scarecrow tilted his head, gazed steady, as he waited for a reply that never came. Finally, she threw her hands in the air. Fruit is scarce around here. All the more reason. Not what I meant. She stomped on his shoulder. Dumb words. What I meant, she trailed off. Flinging his arm toward the bountiful crops of vegetables they had passed, he retorted. Doesn't look scarce, she shrugged. Not real food, just saying. Scarecrow rolled his eyes and took a bite out of the carrot. The sweet, crisp taste was delightfully refreshing. Was it that good or was he that hungry? About to take another bite, a flashy movement out of the corner of his eye caused him to spin around. Who's there? He cried out. The flowers and vegetables swayed with a passing gust of wind, carrying whispered melodies. Then silence. Glancing at Pebble, she shrugged again, muttering, What do I care? Scarecrow turned his attention to the carrot, but it was gone. He looked around. It was nowhere to be seen. Pebble only offered him an I told you so look, eyes wide, smirking. He sighed. Once they got to these gardens, he'd eat more. His stomach could wait. The deteriorating straw frame of his could not. He returned to the last arrow in the dirt and pushed on. Scarecrow marveled as they passed fields dipped in gold by the strange twilight. A gentle breeze blew past them, pausing. If he listened hard enough, a hum of voices threaded through the silence. He looked around. They were alone. Just wind. He shivered as his coat flapped in the breeze. He shivered as his coat flapped behind him. Turning his gaze to inspect himself, he lifted the front edges of his coat, growing concerned. If I don't get some straw stuffing in me soon, I'm likely to fall apart, I think. Pebble snorted. Good luck finding those around here. Might as well shove some dirt up your straw pipe and call it a day. Scarecrow stopped. There's no straw or stuffing in the gardens? No, why would there be? With a scratch of his head, he shrugged. Other scarecrows? I've traveled these lands far and wide, she said, turning towards him with fists on hips. And never have I seen a scarecrow before. Why would you think... Mr. Crow, Scarecrow blurted out with a shake of his shoulder. And save the younglings, the crow squawked as he shook his head awake, half-opened eyes landing on them. I thought you said there was straw or stuffing in the gardens. Food makes dirt and gardens grow, the bird cawed, eyes blinking rapidly as if it all made sense. Pebbles slammed onto her side with a bout of laughter. In between fits of hysteria, she blurted out, Straw brain and bird brain, burn in duo. Scarecrow clenched his fists, refraining from shoving the crow away. Okay, let's just get to these gardens and we'll figure out what to do next. In a sudden change of demeanor, Pebble hopped to her feet. We're already in the gardens. Wait, we are? Then why didn't those clumsy feet of yours were the only bait I needed. Now shush, servant. She whispered and paused, raising an ear to the air. Listen. Scarecrow scanned the fields for any sign of life. The vegetables and flower beds cast long shadows, blanketed only by the golden twilight glow of the parting sun. A soft breeze swept through the air, carrying a subtle melody. That's not just me, Scarecrow said with relief. I heard that before. Set us free, Mr. Crow murmured, gently rocking his head back and forth. Pebble squatted down, head low. They're here. A gust of wind. Hello? Scarecrow asked the breeze. Welcome, weary travelers, greeted a whimsically petal-soft voice from ground level. Scarecrow stepped back as a vibrant sunflower rose from the earth, its petals the colors of honey, pale dew, and crimson twilight, lifted in a lilting bloom. Two elongated petals shaped its eyes, golden disc pupils shimmering with regal beauty. Its stem twisted into hands and legs, their ever-flowing forms shifting, hinting at immutable nature. Hello, Miss Flower, Scarecrow offered breathlessly, already in awe. May I say your radiance is stunning. I am the golden sunflower, no less, no more, she spoke, each syllable flowing with harmony and grace. Crows love flowers, Mr. Crow chirped. Stem legs extending effortlessly, the golden sunflower rose to the crow's height. Let's fix that. The golden sunflower rose to the crow's height. Stem like legs, growing effortlessly. Avians, few may they be, are ever friends of my kind. Scarecrow, grinning from ear to ear, bowed his head in reverence as the majestic creature's smile graced him directly. He sought words, but then he felt irrelevant in her presence. The only thing he could manage was a finger pointed toward himself as he stuttered, Scarecrow. However, her smile faltered as she glanced towards his other shoulder. The tiny creature, a pebble, clung fiercely to the rock. The golden sunflower's expression hardened with disdain. You are not welcome back, Pixie. With a fierce shake of her head, Pebble shouted, How about a taste of this? She jumped off Scarecrow's shoulder. Flinging the rock at the golden sunflower, she plummeted toward the ground. The flower's vine-like stem curved aside, avoiding the flying rock and catching Pebble before she hit the earth. Turning to Mr. Crow, Scarecrow whispered, What's a pixie? His feathery companion shrugged. Screaming from within the golden sunflower's grasp, Pebble cried, Slaves, attack! Rip that sunflower to shreds! Scarecrow leaned over. What's a slave? I thought we were servants. Whatever. Kill, 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 Pebble commanded. The outburst ended heedlessly as the golden sunflower tossed the pixie into a nearby flower bed, which sprang to life in a whirlwind of grace and elegance. A vibrant purple lilac rose to catch her. The golden sunflower's soft laughter washed away Pebble's cries. The commanding creature, with vines raising her above even Scarecrow's height, turned away. My children, she sang, her words the calm to a storm. We welcome a crow and a scarecrow to our gardens. With the dipping of the sun past the horizon, all of the flower beds in the fields nearby and afar sprang to life in an array of wildflowers, daisies, roses, chrysanthemums, and a lone purple-black cosmos. As the clouds passed, the moon showered the fields with a celestial glow. Scarecrow looked around in awe at the countless flowers gazing up at him. Fear, wonder, and intrigue filled their petaled eyes. Who would have thought flowers were real, or could talk? Well, what did he know? He was just a scarecrow. He gazed up at the golden sunflower in all her beauty. The moonlight radiating off her golden petals was enchanting. But Pebble, Scarecrow dropped to a knee, bowing low with hands raised. I apologize for her behavior. We've come for... Put me down! You want to be flower ingrates? Pebble screamed as she was tossed to a trio of wildflowers rising from the earth. Please, let her go, Scarecrow begged, pressing his hands together imploringly. Dumb slave! I said attack! Shoot! Fire! Punch! You're like twice there! Pebble's words grew muffled as a leaf covered her mouth. With a smile of pure delight, the golden sunflower continued. Alas, our deity tolerates no aggression. Scarecrow glanced sideways at Mr. Crow for an answer, who murmured, Eyes are the friends of defeat. Scarecrow rolled his eyes, uncertain if the crow was entertained or lost. Eyeing the nearby flowers warily, he spread his arms. What did she do? Muffled cries rose from Pebble as she wriggled in vain against the wildflowers. Pebble, the pixie's presence here didn't seem to inspire confidence. Judging from her demeanor in their brief time together, he wasn't surprised. She challenged our God. The golden sunflower hummed. Scarecrow stilled as he glanced sideways at Pebble before being tossed up and down recklessly. She. What? The golden sunflower extended a leafy vine, collecting Pebble in one swoop and raising her to Scarecrow's eye level. The little pixie showed up one evening, she said aside with a pause. Praise the moon. In unison, the fields of flowers chanted. Praise the moon. She dangled Pebble upside down from one leg like the pendulum of a clock. Cloak hanging upside down and wisps of purple hair everywhere, Pebble swung at the flower in vain. Continuing with harmonious elegance, the golden sunflower whispered, searching for a lost brother, who, alas, is gone. Pebble paused mid-swing, realization setting in. My brother. Scarecrow glanced between Pebble and Mr. Crow, who had started humming to himself. How about I take her off your vines, and we'll be on our way? A flower bed of lilacs, daisies, and petunias hissed. Shaking out of her reverie, Pebble spat. That's right. I'm here for my brother. Give him back, ya sparkin' demons. A collective wave of gasps spread throughout the flowers. She called us. Are we? She used the D word, Mommy. A tiny rose cried out as they emerged from a flower bed. Call the pixie, shouted a chrysanthemum. With a raised hand, the golden sunflower spoke. The gardens welcome all. A melodic hum rose from the depths of her petals, as if a trance were coming on. And all shall welcome the gardens. The vines lifted her up high, discs to the moonlit sky, her petals gleamed beneath the stars. Pebble howled, eyes blazing, as she fought against the vines. Stomp her! Kick her! Before! The golden sunflower spread her vine-like arms to either side, swayed like a metronome, and drowned out Pebble's words with song. For all the flowers in the dark. As one, the flowers swayed in harmony. For all the creatures near the mark. For all the beasts who feel the spark. The vegetables in every field, near and far, sprang to life. Tomatoes, cornstalks, cabbages, and carrots rolled around as vine-like limbs emerged. Moon shall set us free. Ever the growth in the forest's heart. A collective hum rang out from every corner of the gardens. The splash and the breath ever wore apart. Rekindle the sparks in the burn's black heart. Scarecrow found himself humming along to a melody he had always known. Peace answered. Pebble's muffled cries and Mr. Crow's humming were swept away. Let us gather beneath the decree. In the lands the last will be, when the moon sets us free. Her molten honeydew eyes washed all his burdens away, like the first drops of a passing rain. Freedom, absolution, death, demons, and destruction faded away. The burdens of his soul grew distant. The weight of his soul grew distant, unimportant, time irrelevant. Praise the moon. Strong, wet earth felt pressed into his palms. Strong, wet earth felt pressed into his palms. The more he dug, the more progress was made. The more he dug, the more progress was made. Specks of soil, rock, and grubs flew past him in a flurry of effort. A pest pricked his nose. He swatted it away. On his hands and knees, a half-dug hole beneath him grew wider and deeper. It had to be perfectly cylindrical. His fingers felt strengthened with each handful of soil that he clawed out. A pest tickled his nose, but it didn't bother him. He glanced up at the moon, studying its design. Looking back at his hole, the size was about right, but if he leaned in with one fist, he could still reach the bottom. Not deep enough. Never. Ouch! The tiny, painful bite on the tip of his nose caused him to fall back and yelp. He landed on his bottom, wincing from the shock. Scarecrow shook his head and looked around. Before him was a half-dug hole. Did he dig that? In the fields around them, fruits and vegetables with vine-like limbs carved out similar holes in the earth. The fruits and vegetables with vine-like limbs carved out similar holes in the earth. Things too far away to see at night were lifted in and out of the holes. Flowers of all shapes, dandelions, roses, and wildflowers patrolled from within flower beds, spreading out in all directions. Nearby, Mr. Crow was halfway into his own hole, pecking furiously while also eating chunks of dirt and humming a haunting melody. Nearby, Mr. Crow was halfway into his own hole, pecking furiously while also eating chunks of dirt and chanting a haunting melody. Why did that sound so familiar? Maybe he should hum it too. Why did that sound familiar? Maybe he should hum it. Moon shall set us free, Scarecrow chanted, joining Mr. Crow in song. He shrugged and returned to his hole. There was only one way to master the moon's design. The soft, subtle song in his heart pushed unnecessary thoughts away. Only this work mattered. Only the work mattered. In no time at all, he was waist high into its depths. Was this the same hole? He shrugged. No longer did he have to run. A painful nip on his nose alerted him to a pest that wasn't a pest. Pebble? He mumbled. The pixie was biting his nose? She let go, spitting out a mouthful of straw from atop his nose. You stupid, simple-minded dummy, Pebble snapped. Is that really the plan? Dig holes until there's nothing left of you? Leave me be, Pixie. Scarecrow mumbled, unfamiliar with his own words. Looking around, I'm confused. I've known you for all 3 days. That's not surprising, Pebble. Pebble whispered. Didn't we just meet, yesterday? You've been digging holes for 3 days, Pebble cried, arms raised high in frustration. A breeze swept through the air, carrying a subtle melody. For all the flowers in the dark. He shrugged, feeling an urge to please the moon, and returned to excavating the earthen hole. A breeze swept through the air, carrying a subtle melody. Flowers singing in the distance. A breeze swept through the air, carrying a subtle melody. Flowers, chants. A breeze swept through the air. A breeze swept through the air, carrying a subtle melody and the distant chants of flowers. And the distant song of flowers. A breeze swept through the air. All right, I guess that's all right. A breeze swept through, carrying a subtle melody and the distant song of flowers. He shrugged, feeling an urge to please the moon or turn to excavating the earthen hole. The moon's light bathed him in its essence. Had he been doing again? A pest jumped up the bridge of his nose and approached his right eye. Did all pests have purple hair? She punched him in the eye. Scarecrow yelped and fell onto his back. Begone, pixie, before I call you! He rubbed his eye in pain, realizing that the words coming out of his mouth weren't his own. I'm sorry, pest. Pixie, pebble. Er, I'm sorry, pest. Pixie. Er, um, uh, uh, pebble. Pebble. He sat up again, trying to concentrate. His head pounded in a persistent drumbeat. Concentration was difficult. He sat up again, trying to focus. His head pounded in a persistent drumbeat. Concentration was difficult, forming thoughts elusive. Are you listening, the pest? The pebble shouted. Scarecrow glanced down at her, clinging on tightly to his cheek. Suddenly, her eyes widened, spotting something in the distance. He followed her tiny finger until his eyes locked onto the disc-like molten honeydew eyes of the golden sunflower, fast approaching. Wildflowers and daisies glided alongside her on flower beds of celestial moonlight. Wildflowers and daisies glided alongside her on flower beds, basking, basking in celestial radiance. The airborne song grew louder. Quick, think of one thing in your mind. He felt a sharp sensation on his cheek, but the melody, the moon, the gardens. A past frantic voice cried out, something that you love or hate, a strong emotion, a memory. Beneath the decree, what of the last will be? You, moon sets us free. Love. The world. All right, so I think I need to make. Okay, this is where I caught up. So this is where I caught up too, where I had edited before, and I think the thing that I was trying to decide previously was the feedback I'd received so far was that it was disjarring having a memory in the middle of an already very unique chapter. Um, I think I do want to try to make the memory work, but I'm gonna have to get feedback. I'm gonna have to get a multiple feedback to see if it's clear without the reader getting lost. So I think I have to make it clear that Scarecrow is having a memory. The world. The world became a blur as Scarecrow shut his eyes. A vague image of the boy in the red beanie came to mind, but this time he was without the beanie, with sandy brown hair, disheveled. A room of dirt, rocks, and insects encased them on all sides. The world became a blur as Scarecrow shut his eyes. A vague image of the boy in the red beanie came to mind, but this time he was without the beanie, with sandy brown hair, disheveled. A room of dirt, rocks, and insects encased them on all sides. I hate bugs, the boy shrieked, kicking at a crawly thing. Scarecrow found himself leaning in, dirt seeping through his fingers as crawly things wriggled through. Like yourself. Let's see. Yeah, all right, so we're doing some fixes. The world became a blur. Scarecrow shut his eyes, losing himself in the first memory that came to mind. All right, so I'll see if this is a better setup. The world became a blur as Scarecrow shut his eyes, losing himself in the first memory that his heart could find, that his heart could remember, that his heart could find. The world became a blur as Scarecrow shut his eyes, losing himself in the first memory that his heart could locate, could recall. The world became a blur as Scarecrow shut his eyes, losing himself in the first memory that his heart could recall. Losing himself in any memory that his heart could recall. A vague image of the boy in the red beanie came to mind. A vague image of the boy in the red beanie came to mind. A vague image of the boy in the red beanie came to mind. Instead, sporting a vague image of the boy in the red beanie. A vague image of the boy in the red beanie, instead sporting a head full of disheveled sandy brown hair. A vague image of the boy in the red beanie, but this time he was without the beanie. He was without the hat. Instead, sporting a head full of disheveled sandy brown hair. A room of dirt and rocks encased them on all sides. I hate bugs, the boy shrieked, kicking at a crawly thing as he ran over to him. Scarecrow leaned in, dirt seeping through his fingers as crawly things wriggled through. Scarecrow leaned in, dirt seep. Scarecrow leaned in and ruffled the boy's hair. He then got to a knee and grabbed a fistful of dirt He then got to a knee and grabbed a fistful. Dirt seeping through his fingers as crawly things wriggled through. I think that makes it a little clearer. Like yourself, I hate bugs. This doesn't make sense now. Hey, what's up, Bo? I saw a couple of you guys hopped in. Hope the writing vibe's treating all y'all well, by the way. Wouldn't you be hating on yourself then, little bug? Scarecrow leaned in and ruffled the boy's hair. He then got to a knee and grabbed a fistful, dirt seeping through his fingers as crawly things wriggled through. Glancing down at the boy. Glancing sideways at the boy. He joked. Wouldn't you be hating on yourself then, little bug? The boy laughed and punched him in the shoulder. More like the tin can. More like the tin can. Scarecrow nodded, messing with his own hat. Scarecrow nodded, messing with his own hat as he tossed her in the air. Scarecrow nodded, and Scarecrow nodded and messed. Let's go. Scarecrow nodded and messed. Nodded. Scarecrow nodded and readjusted his hat. And readjusted his hat. Before tossing, Scarecrow nodded and readjusted his hat before tossing dirt in the air. Chunks of dirt, chunks of earth hovered midair seamlessly. The specks circled one another, creating something as the boy gasped. The specks circled one another like a miniature tornado. The specks circled one another like a miniature tornado, creating something blurry as the boy gasped. All right, where Scarecrow nodded. Let's see. Scarecrow nodded and readjusted his hat before tossing dirt into the air. Clumps of earth hovered. Clumps of dirt hovered midair seamlessly. The specks circled one another like a miniature tornado, creating something blurry as the boy gasped. The specks circled one another like a miniature tornado, creating something blurry. Creating something clouded and blurry. The specks circle one another like a miniature tornado, creating a clouded and blurry. Creating a clouded and blurry. No. The specks circle one another like a miniature tornado, creating something tiny, something small, clouded and blurry. As the boy gasped. But what was created? The boy tugged on his coat, whispering, Scarecrow turned to look at the boy. Who was already? Scarecrow turned to look at the boy, who was already at who was already standing. The Scarecrow turned to look at the boy, arms crossed. The boy, standing near the exit of the room, arms crossed. Whistling. The boy glanced his way. Scarecrow turned to look at the boy, who was suddenly Scarecrow turned to look at the boy who was suddenly standing across the room near the exit, arms crossed, whistling. The boy glanced his way and asked. The boy glanced his way and asked a question, but the boy glanced his way, talking all the while, but his words sounded distant. Like, the boy glanced his way, talking all the while, but his words sounded distant. Like, The boy glanced his way, talking all the while, but his words sounded distant. Yet somehow. The boy glanced his way, talking all the while, but the words sounded distant, nearly inaudible. Why did Mother Nature cross? What was the joke? And she was floored. Get it? The dirt ceiling collapsed atop them. What was the joke? And she was floored. The dirt ceiling collapsed atop them. We're floored. Get it? Dumb Scarecrow. Echoed. Dumb Scarecrow. And nice, Elsa. Sounds like you're making some solid progress with the writing. That's awesome. You'll be doing some writing later on. First, have some more preps for Christmas to do. Got to make sure all of the Christmas stuff is all set, my friend. Totally understandable. Definitely that time. What with Christmas next week? Hmm. All right, so that was interesting. Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. So I was trying to transition out of this memory. I think I made the memory parts a little bit clearer that time, but we'll see if that actually works. Blinded, Scarecrow rubbed dirt from his eyes. With clear vision, he sat up and shook his head, noticing the 10 holes surrounding him. He was back in the gardens again. What was that memory? The moon's light cast long shadows across the earth, making the holes seem gigantic. I don't actually think that's necessary. What was that memory? It felt like a distant dream, but his attention was quickly diverted to a pebble. 7 days, Pebble screamed from the ground between his legs. You've been digging holes for 7 days. Didn't we arrive? Down, holes, look. Scarecrow bent over, peering down into the closest hole. His eyes widened in horror. Lying in a heap was, and I think I had fixed this actually in the last pass through. His eyes widened in horror. Lying in a heap, was what lying in a heap was what was once a rabbit. Lying in a heap was what was once a rabbit with white ears, fur, and a peaked nose. But beneath the stomach, its legs were gone, replaced its legs were gone, replaced by a partially grown cauliflower. He trembled. The hole next to it. Let's see. I don't know if I like that as much, but let's try and. This is interesting. All right. So this is kind of like where we're at, like the reveal part of this chapter, where oh no, it's horror. Okay. So I think I'm pretty good with that. I mean, I kind of pushed myself to go about an hour, and I knew my energy was already a little challenging to begin with. So I feel pretty good with what I accomplished. I was kind of hoping I could finish the chapter, but oh well. We'll do. Hopefully, I'll have enough time for another push tomorrow. So yeah, thank you all for joining today. I'm glad I was able to make little progress with the writing. Hopefully, you got a little inspiration and you were able to get a little bit of motivation yourself as we're pushing into the last week and a half of 2025, and hopefully making a little bit more progress on our writing goals. Punch 1, 2, one word at a time. So, one word, one paragraph, one story at a time. So, hopefully, that helped out a little bit. I feel pretty accomplished. It's like three more pages of this chapter edit, and then I'll be able to continue on with back into my third draft, which has been actually flowing pretty quickly. So we'll see what we see. And yeah, most importantly, if you're needing some more consistency and motivation for being a writer and all the stuff that you're doing, then make sure to come join us next weekend for the WriteNow A Thon, a full weekend long live stream, as we're going to come together and celebrate all the writing progress we've made with the community. It's going to be epic. It's going to be epic, the coolest writing event of the year. So we'll be here. We'll be joined by our team of volunteers, the Quilluminati, and all of the amazing guest authors, writers, and everyone in between who are coming together to celebrate their knowledge, some insight, and we're going to come together and do writing games, conversations, and a lot of fun stuff. This is the writing festival that you didn't know you needed. So we'll be back next weekend, and that's what I got for you, my friends. I'll be back tomorrow at some point, hopefully for a writing sprint stream if I have the time. But thank you all for joining. Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the stream. Don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. Words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. It's time to write
Right
now.
Sorry.
Right now, not right now, but right now. Read now, right now.